The floods that occurred in Pennsylvania this fall highlighted the danger of rushing waters. But emergency personnel witnessed another danger that is entirely preventable: drivers ignoring road barricades. One lawmaker has a bill that aims to stop this. Let's spend 5 minutes with State Representative Todd Stephens. Representative Stephens, thanks for coming to our studios.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Talk a little bit about this legislation from a point of how did you become aware that this was a problem?
I routinely meet with the township managers and police chiefs in my municipalities, and at one of those meetings, the Upper Dublin Township Manager, Paul Leonard, who's also a first responder, brought this issue to my attention, and the police chief there, Terry Thompson, sort of affirmed Paul's concerns about people driving around barricades. Upper Dublin Township is unfortunately prone to significant flooding events and has been habitually. So there's a big office campus there, and flooding's just been a problem. We're looking at some resources to try to address the flooding, but at the same time, I thought it was important to protect our first responders.
Now, how does the law work, and what would the consequences of violating the law be?
Well, it's pretty simple, and for most of the viewers, they might think it should be unnecessary, as do I, but unfortunately, you know, from what I hear, it's something that's important that we need to do. Many people have seen them, the road closed sign that blocks off a street because of rushing floodwaters. And unfortunately, too many motorists drive around that barricade and then find themselves stranded in the rushing water, which not only endangers themselves and their passengers, but the first responders who have to come and rescue them, and, by the way, takes the first responders away from other emergencies. So it really is a three-pronged problem. And the goal here is to make it clear that if you drive around a barricade, you're going to pay a $250 fine. If you require the services of an emergency responder or a towing service or something like that, you're going to pay a $500 fine, and you're going to have a brief license suspension as well. We really want to deter people from driving around that barricade, and that's why it's aptly named Turn Around, Don't Drown.
Now, you talk a lot about flooding, and this is directly addressed in this bill, but does it affect people who pass around barricades in other scenarios as well?
It sure does. Anytime there's a hazardous condition and the road is closed, this bill would be triggered. So for those motorists, it's real simple. If the road's closed, you know, and there's a warning to you, you know, do not continue, don't continue. Again, turn around, don't drown. It's real simple. I think for many of my constituents, they're going to say, this is a no-brainer. I can't believe we even need a law like this. But unfortunately, as we just saw in these past flood events, all too often our first responders are unnecessarily put in harm's way. There's actually an instance down in Upper Moreland where 3 first responders who were trying to rescue someone needed to be rescued themselves, and the National Guard had to come and assist them. So, I mean, this is a serious problem, and it's just incredibly dangerous for our first responders and the drivers and passengers that, you know, avoid those signs.
Now, so we're looking after the lives of the person driving the vehicle. We're looking after the lives of the first responders, and also construction people who might be in an area where there's not a flood, but a barricade preventing vehicles from coming to a construction zone.
Absolutely. This bill is it's intended to save lives and prevent injuries. Again, you hit it right on the head. That's the goal of the bill. Hopefully the bill never needs to be used because it will deter people, make them aware of the fact that these rushing floodwaters are dangerous and they need to turn around, don't drown.
And the emergency responders are often volunteers, or usually volunteers, I imagine. So you're valuing their contributions, but also their lives.
Yeah, most of the first responders down our way are in fact volunteers with the local fire companies, and we rely on them. They go into harm's way every day on behalf of the community, and it's so important that we minimize the risks for them. I mean, there's enough risks inherent in their jobs already without, again, needlessly placing these additional risks of putting them in harm's way just because someone stupidly drove around a barrier.
Well, thank you, Representative Stephens. I appreciate your time here. If you have any comments or questions about this or any other legislative topic, Representative Stephens' contact information will be on the screen in a few seconds. Thanks for spending 5 minutes with State Representative Todd Stephens.